The alien princess laughed so hard she had to wipe tears from her glowing eyes. Then she pointed at the human and made a vow in front of the whole galaxy. If he wins, I'll be his wife forever. The arena exploded with mockery, because everyone knew humans weren't built to win here. But the human smiled, like he had already found the crack in their perfect world. The Tournament of Desires. The Tournament of Desires wasn't a contest. It was a statement. Every decade, the strongest species gathered in a star-sized coliseum where the walls were made of living crystal and the air tasted like metal thunder. Winners didn't just earn glory. They earned a single wish, granted by an ancient machine older than most civilizations. Most competitors arrived wrapped in miracles, armor that bent gravity, blades that cut light, drones that predicted moves before they happened. The crowd loved power. They worshipped it. And then the human arrived. His name was Cade Nori, a technician from a tired blue planet that most alien maps labeled as minor developing world. He wore simple boots, a plain dark jacket, and a small cloth band tied around his wrist, something old, something personal. No artifacts. No alien sponsor. No borrowed tech. Just a human body and a human mind. The princess on the moonlit throne. High above the arena, on a floating royal balcony shaped like a crescent moon, sat Princess Salith Vaya, heir of the Varan Dominion. She looked like a legend sculpted into life, luminous teal skin, silver hair braided with tiny star metal rings, eyes like twin storms held behind glass. She watched warriors boast and posture with bored elegance. Then she saw the human. Cade met her gaze without flinching. He didn't bow fast enough. He didn't look away. He simply looked, curious. That was enough to amuse her. Her voice carried across the Colosseum, smooth and sharp at the same time. A human? Truly? Did the galaxy run out of worthy opponents? Laughter rolled outward like a wave. And then she stood, raising her hand for silence. The audience obeyed instantly. If this little earth creature wins, she announced, smiling wide, then I will be his wife, forever. The arena lost its mind. Some aliens screamed with joy. Others fell over, shaking with laughter. Even the announcer paused, stunned by the audacity of a royal promise. Cade's face didn't harden. It didn't break. He only smiled, like the joke was a door, and he had just been handed the key. He shouted back, loud enough for every translator to carry it, "Start picking wedding colors, Your Highness. I hope you like human music." For a split second, the princess's smile twitched. Not fear. Not respect. Just surprise. The first trial. 10 minutes of chaos. The arena floor shifted and unfolded like a puzzle waking up. Platforms rose. Corridors formed. Weapon racks surfaced, glittering with alien tools that hummed with danger. The announcer boomed, "Trial 1, the Crucible. Survive 10 minutes. Any method allowed. Elimination is permanent." The countdown began. Cade inhaled once, slow and steady. He didn't look at the weapons. He looked at the arena. He watched how the platforms moved. How the energy walls pulsed. How the gravity changed by small degrees, like the arena itself had moods. He wasn't searching for a sword. He was searching for a pattern. A human's first lesson. A towering competitor rushed him, an insectoid brute wearing armor with rotating spikes. The brute swung a heavy hammer that made the air ripple. Cade didn't meet force with force. He stepped aside and tapped the hammer shaft at the exact moment the brute's joints locked. The weapon slipped. The brute stumbled. Cade used the brute's own momentum to shove him toward a glowing safe barrier. The barrier wasn't safe. It flashed once, silent and clean, and the brute vanished into dust. Cade blinked, then nodded like a man confirming a theory. He began moving differently now. Not like a fighter chasing opponents. Like a scientist testing reality. Improvisation over firepower. Energy bolts lit the maze. A reptilian champion fired a beam that melted stone into smoke. Cade threw a broken metal panel into the beam's path at an angle. It didn't stop the blast, but it bent it. The beam carved into the platform behind the reptilian champion, collapsing the ground beneath him. The alien fell, roaring, and was crushed by shifting geometry. Cade's hands shook, not from fear, but from adrenaline and focus. He wasn't enjoying this. He was solving it. The trap everyone missed. Near the 8th minute, the remaining fighters clustered around the weapon racks like hungry animals. The racks were bait. Cade realized it too late, when the racks began pulsing. The arena wanted blood. Those who grabbed the artifacts triggered a chain reaction. Shields flared, gravity spiked, and several champions were slammed into the ground so hard their armor cracked open. Cade didn't grab anything. He grabbed a cable, thin, flexible, and forgotten. When gravity spiked, he looped the cable around a pillar and anchored himself like a climber. While others broke under pressure, the human simply held on. 10 minutes ended. A chime rang out like a bell made of stars. Aftermath. When the arena reset, only 128 competitors remained. Cade stood among them, scratched, bruised, breathing hard, still alive. The crowd's laughter weakened into confused murmurs. Princess Salith leaned forward on her moonlit throne. Her eyes narrowed, not because she feared him, but because he had done something worse. He had made the impossible look repeatable. As Cade walked toward the exit tunnel, he glanced up once more and lifted his wrist, showing the old cloth band like a quiet promise. The princess's voice echoed after him, softer now. Interesting. And for the first time, Cade believed the galaxy might actually be listening. The draw that made the arena hold its breath. Round 2 was simpler, on purpose. Simpler rules made for better entertainment. The announcer's voice thundered, Trial 2, single combat. Randomized duels. 1 advances. A massive holographic screen spun through names and species. Champions roared. Fans screamed. Bets flew across interstellar networks like lightning. Then the screen stopped. Cade Nori, human. vs. Sir Varkoon, Korlath Prime. A hush spread. Even the loudest creatures quieted. Because Sir Varkoon was famous. He was the untouchable. A duelist whose armor produced layered shields that no blade had ever pierced. He didn't just win, he made opponents look foolish while doing it. Princess Salith watched from above, chin resting on her fist, pretending boredom. But her eyes were sharp. The untouchable steps forward. Varkoon entered in a slow stride, like a predator taking his time. His armor shimmered in shifting colors, covered in rotating hexagonal plates. Transparent shields flickered around him, forming a moving fortress. He did not draw a weapon. "You are the human," Varkoon said, voice heavy with contempt. "I expected more." Cade rolled his shoulders. "I expected less talking." The crowd laughed again, smaller laughter, nervous laughter. The duel began. First contact. Pain as information. Cade rushed in, not to strike hard, but to test. He threw a fast jab. A shield flared and slapped his fist away like it hit invisible steel. Pain shot up his arm. His knuckles tingled like they were struck by a live wire. Cade stepped back, flexed his fingers, and breathed out. He tried a kick. The shield responded faster, pushing his leg away mid-air. He landed awkwardly, nearly falling. Varkoon didn't even move his feet. "You cannot touch me," Varkoon said, calmly. "Your species is brave, but bravery is not physics." Cade wiped blood from his lip. "Then I'll learn your physics." Human curiosity turns deadly. Varkoon attacked with a casual swing of his arm. A shockwave burst outward, violent and clean. Cade flew backward and skidded across the platform, sparks jumping from the floor beneath him. His ribs screamed. He didn't stand right away. He listened. The shields hummed when they activated. They weren't silent. They had a rhythm, like a machine breathing. Cade had repaired enough engines and generators to recognize a tell. He rose slowly, smiling through pain. Varkoon tilted his head. "Why do you smile?" "Because you're not untouchable," Cade said. "You're just predictable." The trick, making the shield choose wrong. Cade stopped trying to break the shield. Instead, he started trying to confuse it. He moved like water, half steps, stutters, sudden angle changes. Not to land hits, but to force shield reactions. The shield responded to each threat, flaring at the last moment. Flare. Pause. Flare. Pause. Cade counted. Not in seconds. In patterns. Varcoon grew annoyed and increased power. His shields thickened, brighter now, and the air smelled like ozone. "You are delaying," Varcoon snapped. Cade nodded. "Exactly." Then he threw the cable he'd taken from the crucible. Not at Varcoon's body. At the floor, behind him. The cable hooked a raised edge. Cade yanked hard. A metal plate popped up, tilting like a lever. Dust rose. The shield interpreted it as an attack from below. It flared downward. And for the first time, the shield flared in the wrong direction. The opening that no one believed in. Cade was already moving. He sprinted forward and struck, not with brute force, but with precision. 2 quick hits on the armor's side joint where hex plates overlapped. The armor resisted, but the shield was still angled wrong. The impact slipped through the shield's coverage like a needle through a gap. A crack appeared in Varcoon's armor. Varcoon staggered, shock flashing across his face. The crowd stopped breathing. Cade hit again. Same spot, same angle. The crack widened. Varcoon's shields surged to correct. But correction took time. And humans lived in the space between moments. Cade slammed his shoulder into Varcoon's chest and twisted, using leverage instead of power. Varcoon stumbled backward. The edge of the platform was close. Varcoon tried to stabilize, but the shield flared again, still confused by the shifting debris and cable tension. Cade shoved once more. Varcoon fell off the platform and hit the elimination field below. A bright flash. Silence. Then the announcer screamed, "Victory, human advances." The princess doesn't laugh this time. The arena erupted, some with anger, some with awe, many with disbelief. Princess Salith stood slowly. Her lips were parted, and for a moment, she forgot to hide her reaction. Cade looked up and raised his hands, palms open, like a man saying, "Still laughing?" Salith's voice carried across the stadium, colder now. "You are becoming a problem, human." Cade grinned. "You're becoming a promise." Her cheeks darkened slightly, alien color shifting in embarrassment. The crowd noticed. And that was dangerous. Because alien royalty was not supposed to be moved by a human. The warning in the healing bay. Later, in the medical wing, Cade sat while a soft beam stitched his bruised ribs back into place. Across the room, a tall alien with long arms and tired eyes watched him. The alien finally spoke. "You are changing the tournament." Cade shrugged. "Good. It needed change." The alien leaned in. "The machine that grants wishes, it listens. And when humans make it listen, the old powers become afraid." Cade's smile faded. "Afraid of what?" The alien's voice dropped to a whisper. "Afraid that your wish won't be small." Cade looked up toward the distant royal balcony, imagining Princess Salith's face when she realized the joke was now a chain. And somewhere inside him, curiosity mixed with determination. Because if the galaxy had a wish machine, then maybe humanity had been living under the wrong limits all along. A trial that doesn't kill the body. Trial 3 didn't begin in the arena. It began in a room of mirrors. The survivors, now only 64, were led into a circular chamber where the walls reflected not faces, but memories. The air was warm, smelling faintly of rain. The announcer spoke softly for the first time. Trial 3, the Gallery of Truth. Your mind will be tested. Your past will be weighed. Your intent will be judged. Cade's stomach tightened. He could fight beasts. He could break patterns. But this was invisible. Princess Salith watched from a high platform above the chamber, expression unreadable. The mirror shows Earth. Cade's mirror lit up. He saw Earth cities at night, beautiful from orbit, but tired up close. He saw storms, droughts, and crowded shelters. He saw his mother working double shifts. He saw himself fixing broken machines with cheap tools and stubborn hands. And then he saw the moment that brought him here. A small group of humans gathered in a dusty room, staring at a strange object that had fallen from the sky, an invitation cube. They argued. They feared. They hoped. Cade stepped forward in the memory, saying, "If aliens think we're weak, then let's give them a reason to learn." The mirror pulsed. The chamber listened. Others break. Across the room, other competitors screamed. A massive armored champion fell to his knees, weeping as his mirror displayed a betrayal he had buried. Another tried to punch his reflection, but his own memory struck back, forcing him to relive his worst moment again and again. This trial didn't break bones. It broke pride. Cade's mirror shifted. Now it showed Princess Salith, only she wasn't laughing. She was younger, standing in a royal hall as advisors argued around her. Her father's voice boomed, furious. "Royal vows are weapons," he shouted. "Do not throw them like toys." Salith's eyes were wet in that memory. Cade blinked. He hadn't expected her pain to be part of his test. The real purpose of the trial. Then the chamber spoke, without words. Cade understood suddenly. The wish machine was collecting data. It was studying desire. It was learning who would use power to heal, and who would use it to rule. And someone, some powerful faction, wanted Cade to fail this part. Because humans weren't supposed to reach the wish. A cold feeling crawled up Cade's spine. He realized the truth. This tournament wasn't just entertainment. It was selection. And the galaxy's old rulers feared what a human might be selected for. The human lie. The mirrors demanded honesty. But humans had something unusual, the ability to lie for a better truth. Cade stared into his reflection and spoke clearly. "I want the wish." The chamber hummed. "For glory?" it seemed to ask. Cade shook his head. "No." "For power?" "No." "For revenge?" "No." He swallowed and forced his voice steady. "I want the wish, so my people can stop surviving and start living." The mirror flared bright. But then it dug deeper, showing Earth violence, greed, cruelty. The chamber tried to trap him in humanity's flaws. Cade's breath shook. Then he did something that shocked even himself. He smiled sadly and said, "Yes. Humans can be awful." The chamber paused. "But we can also be better," Cade continued. "We do not arrive perfect. We build ourselves. We learn. We fail. Then we try again." His reflection stepped closer like it could finally see him. Cade raised his wrist, showing the cloth band. "This belonged to my little sister," he said quietly. "She tied it on my hand before she died in a hospital with no power. If I win, I don't want to rule the galaxy." He looked straight into the mirror. "I want to give my world a chance." The chamber went silent. A sabotage revealed. Suddenly, the mirrors around the room flickered. A hidden signal crawled through the chamber like digital poison. Some competitors collapsed, clutching their heads. The gallery of truth began to overload. Cade saw it instantly, a pattern in the flicker. A frequency. A hack. Someone was trying to crash the trial and eliminate survivors. Cade moved fast. He grabbed a fallen competitor's discarded wrist device, alien tech, then ripped open the casing with his bare hands. A shock stung his fingers. He didn't care. He rerouted the power path using a piece of metal clip from his jacket and the old cable he still carried. It wasn't elegant. It was human. The flicker stabilized near him, just enough. Cade shouted, "Everyone! Stand near the stable mirrors, away from the pulsing ones." Some listened. Some didn't. But enough moved. The chamber's overload slowed. Princess Salith watches a human save aliens. Above, Princess Salith stood rigid. Because the human wasn't saving only himself. He was saving competitors who had mocked him. He was protecting lives that belonged to species that would never protect his. That wasn't weakness. That was something worse for the powerful. That was moral strength. The sabotage failed. The chamber calmed. The announcer's voice returned, strained. Trial 3, complete. Only 32 remained. Cade swayed, exhausted. His hands were burned from exposed wiring. But he was still standing. Princess Salith looked down at him, eyes stormbright, her voice barely audible but caught by the nearest translator. You should have let them fall. Cade looked up. Then I'd be playing the galaxy's game. He turned to leave, limping. And I came here, he said, to change it. Royal politics enter the arena. By trial 4, the tournament no longer felt like sport. It felt like war wearing a costume. Rumors spread through the Colosseum. A human might reach the wish. Sponsors panicked. Royal houses whispered. Old champions sharpened their blades not for victory, but for control. Princess Salith's advisors begged her to retract her vow. She refused. Not because she wanted the human. Because the vow had become a symbol. And symbols were dangerous. So she did what royalty did best. She set a trap. Trial 4, the Labyrinth of Kings. The remaining 32 entered a shifting maze filled with doors that offered shortcuts, at a price. Some doors promised power. Others promised safety. Others promised secret knowledge. But each door required something, a memory, a year of lifespan, a piece of identity. Aliens took deals quickly. Humans, when wise, read the fine print. Cade watched competitors bargain away their future for immediate advantage. He refused every door. He didn't trust gifts. He trusted effort. Then he saw something worse. A door with the Varen royal symbol. Princess Salith's symbol. His translator rendered the message. Choose this door, human. I will give you what you need to win. Cade's throat tightened. He looked up. Cameras were watching. The whole galaxy waited. If he accepted, they'd say humans only won through royal cheating. If he refused, he might die. He smiled, bitter and amused. Royal traps always assumed the target wanted the obvious prize. Cade stepped toward the door and placed his ear against it. He listened. Inside was a hum, steady, controlled. Not a gift. A containment field. A cage. A human countermove. Make the trap public. Cade turned away from the door and walked to the center of the labyrinth where the cameras followed. He raised his hands and shouted for the arena to hear. The princess offers me a shortcut. Gasps. Murmurs. Outrage. Salith's eyes widened above, and for the first time, she looked caught. Cade continued, voice calm. If I take it, you'll call me a puppet. If I refuse, you'll call me stupid. He pointed toward the royal door. So I'll do something human. He grinned. I'll open it, and share it. The trap becomes a test of character. Cade dragged the door mechanism open using brute effort and a broken gear rod from the maze wall. A burst of cold light spilled out. Inside was a chamber full of tools, non-lethal but powerful, grappling tethers, shield disruptors, environmental scanners. Enough equipment to dominate Trial 4. The audience roared. Salith stared, frozen. Cade didn't take the tools for himself. He grabbed a scanner and tossed the rest out into the labyrinth corridors for anyone to use. This is not my victory, he shouted. If I win, I want it to be real. Some competitors hesitated. Then one alien, an elderly strategist species with gentle eyes, picked up a tether and nodded at Cade. Others followed. Cade had turned a royal trap into a public moment. And the galaxy saw it. The labyrinth fights back. The maze responded like an angry animal. Walls moved faster. Floors tilted. Gravity shifted. Competitors screamed as sections collapsed. Cade used the scanner to map safe zones, then shared the data by carving simple symbols into the walls. Arrows, numbers, warnings. It was primitive. It worked. Humans had been sharing survival knowledge since caves. He reached the final gate, only to find the last defender waiting. A silent champion in black armor with no banners, no sponsor markings. An assassin. Sent by someone who didn't want the human alive. The fight that felt like drowning. The assassin moved like shadow, striking without warning. Cade blocked, Barely. A blade grazed his shoulder. Another cut his thigh. He couldn't read the opponent. No pattern. No predictable shield. Just pure skill. Cade's breath turned ragged. Then he remembered what humans did when they couldn't overpower something. They changed the environment. Cade slammed his hand onto the floor panel and yanked exposed wiring loose. Sparks jumped. The assassin rushed. Cade shoved the live wire toward the attacker's armor seam. Electricity arced. The assassin jerked back. Not dead, but disrupted. Cade used that half-second to grab a tether and hook the assassin's leg, then pulled hard. The attacker fell. Cade didn't celebrate. He panted, shaking. Then he offered the assassin a hand. The assassin stared, confused. Cade spoke simply, "You don't have to be someone's weapon." The assassin hesitated, then vanished into the maze without answering. End of Trial 4. Cade stepped through the final gate as the maze shut behind him. Only 8 competitors remained. Above, Princess Salith looked like she was fighting 2 battles at once, her pride and her conscience. Cade looked up and spoke softly, not for the crowd, just for her. "I'm still coming." Princess Salith whispered back, so quiet only her closest microphones caught it. "I know." The last 8 stand on a world of glass. The final trial wasn't a maze. It was a stage. A floating platform of transparent crystal hung above a swirling star field. Below it, the ancient wish machine glowed like a sleeping sun, surrounded by rings of rotating symbols. The last 8 competitors stood in a circle. No more random battles. No more games. This was selection. The announcer's voice trembled with excitement. "Final trial, the crown of desires. Only one will touch the machine." Princess Salith sat on her throne like a blade sheathed in silk. Her vow was still unbroken. The final test isn't combat. The machine spoke into their minds, not in words, but in pressure. It asked, "What will you do with reality?" Competitors stepped forward one by one, projecting desires: domination, immortality, vengeance, endless wealth. As they spoke, the machine judged. Some were rejected instantly, shoved backward by invisible force. One was accepted, then consumed by his own greed, collapsing in terror as the machine showed him the cost. The galaxy watched, afraid and fascinated. Then Cade stepped forward. He didn't shout. He didn't boast. He simply said, "I want a future where small worlds aren't crushed for being small." The machine pulsed. The air warmed. The floor beneath Cade's feet lit up with symbols. He was being heard. "The princess moves." Princess Salith stood. Her voice cut through the arena like a command. "Human." Cade looked up. Her eyes were no longer laughing. They were calculating, and haunted. "You have made my vow a chain around my empire," she said. "If you win, I will be bound to you forever. My enemies will call me weak. My allies will call me reckless." Cade answered honestly, "I didn't ask for your vow." Salith's jaw tightened. "No. I gave it to humiliate you." A hush fell. Royal confession was rare. Then she said the words nobody expected. "And you turned my cruelty into a lesson." The true final opponent. A roar erupted from the side of the platform. One competitor, an armored warlord, lunged for the machine, desperate to steal the wish before judgment finished. The machine reacted with a wave of force, but the warlord had built-in stabilizers. He pushed forward anyway. Cade moved. Not to fight for himself. To protect the machine from being abused. He tackled the warlord, both of them sliding across the glass platform. The warlord swung a blade toward Cade's throat. Cade grabbed the wrist, twisted, and forced the blade into the platform surface. The glass cracked. Alarms screamed. The platform began to fracture. They were about to fall into the wish machine's energy field, where neither would survive. Humanity's signature move, sacrifice plus solution. Cade's mind raced. He couldn't out-muscle the warlord. So he did what humans did best. He made an impossible plan in 1 second, and acted before fear could argue. Cade tore off his jacket and wrapped it around the warlord's weapon arm, using it as a friction lock. Then he used the tether line from Trial 4, still clipped to his belt, and anchored it to a stabilizer ring above. He jumped backward off the cracking platform. The tether snapped tight. It didn't save him. It saved the platform. The pull redistributed weight, reducing strain. The platform steadied, barely. Cade dangled over a glowing abyss, arms burning. The warlord stared, stunned. "You could have won," the warlord snarled. "Why did you stop me?" Cade's voice was strained but clear, because a wish used wrong becomes a weapon. With a final heave, Cade swung himself back onto the platform and shoved the warlord away from the machine. The warlord stumbled into the machine's judgment field. The machine rejected him. He vanished like smoke. The wish machine chooses. Silence. Then symbols surrounded Cade like a crown of light. The machine's voice finally formed words in every language. Humanity. Adaptive. Collective. Creative. Capable of mercy under pressure. Selection accepted. The galaxy shook. Because it wasn't saying Cade was strong. It was saying humans were worthy. Princess Salitha's breath hitched. Her vow was about to become real. The vow fulfilled, but not as a cage. Cade looked up at Salith. He could have demanded marriage as revenge. He could have used it to humiliate her the way she tried to humiliate him. Instead, he spoke gently. "Your promise was made in cruelty. I don't want to wife one like a trophy." The crowd murmured, confused again, because they didn't understand a victory without ownership. Cade continued, voice steady. "If you still choose to stand with me, then stand as an equal. Not as a prize." Princess Salith stared for a long moment. Then she stepped down from her throne, slowly, carefully, like royalty stepping into a new world. "I choose," she said, voice shaking just slightly, "to stand." The galaxy erupted, not with laughter this time, but with fear and awe. Because the human hadn't just won a tournament. He had changed the meaning of power. The wish. Cade turned to the machine. He closed his eyes and thought of Earth's dark hospitals, broken grids, hungry children, and hopeful faces. His wish was simple in language, and massive in impact. Give humanity a chance, clean power, stable climate repair, and open knowledge, without taking from anyone else. The machine pulsed. And somewhere, far away, lights on Earth began to stay on. Ending that can continue forever. As the Colosseum shook with the consequences, Cade realized something. This wasn't the end. It was the first step into a galaxy that finally had to take humans seriously. Princess Salith stood beside him, watching stars shift like destiny. And the universe, now aware of humanity, leaned closer, waiting for what humans would build next.